work.
Mm-hmm.
What if we tried this? Well, we can't do that, but maybe we could do this, right? Then you have those meaningful conversations and good things come out of it. And because if you're attracting the wrong buyers, it's going to be really difficult to close, and you're not going to be able to help people.
Yeah.
But if we get alignment there, and sometimes, you know, marketing and sales, we're children, and we need an adult supervision.
Yes.
We need that. You know, we need that. We don't necessarily need the CFO, but we need that COO or the CEO to kind of supervise things and make sure that the strategy is there and that we're literally being nice to each other. But once those conversations are flowing and it's open and honest, you can make some real progress fast.
Yeah, that's for sure. Just want to say real quick, Trish Stewart stopped by. Thanks so much for dropping the comment. She said, ask questions that challenge and think differently about the problem, because often our biggest competitor is the status quo. People stay with the devil they know because they don't think about their problem. And thanks for dropping that comment, Trish. And she said after that, she said, great advice. And that's what you were saying earlier, Walter. Thanks so much for stopping by and dropping the comment, Trish. Thanks, Walter, for dropping that nugget with us today. I tell you, it is interesting when you see marketing and sales teams who are not aligned, and you just wonder how that. I mean, it's hard to understand unless it's a really big company how that would go on that long without an executive coming in and going, listen, we got to be here together. We got to be doing this together. I just
now you're applying common sense to this.
Maybe that's it.
And I don't mean to demean business owners and leaders, because they got a lot on their plate. And they usually started a business for a reason. They're passionate about something, and sometimes sales and marketing, to some business owners, it's this black bag of magic.
Yes,
they don't understand. You know, they could take a machine apart and put it back together. They can improve upon it. They can take a design, right? They have that. That's their strength. Mm-hmm. So they're sort of intimidated by the other side. And they're not really sure. So they kind of like, I just hoping these guys will figure it out. Which is like hiring a salesperson and like hoping they'll figure it out.
Yes.
And, you know, we know that doesn't work very often. So if you get them, if somebody just starts to listen as the business owner, because they know more than they realize that they know.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's intuitive for them, because they understand the underlying premise of the business. They understand why they did it. They understand what's really, really important. So if they just sat in those meetings and listened and allowed everybody to talk, I think some things would come out of it. So if you feel you're in that boat as a business owner, just go sit and like, hey, I want to be a fly on the wall here. And I want to listen to what's going on and try to understand and see if I can help. Because if you're in a meeting and you're a leader, you should be the last one to talk anyway, right? So especially when you don't have all the answers, I would, dollars to donuts, that business owner has more insight than they realize on sales and marketing, and they can help. So just get in there and listen.
That is such great advice, because I think you hit it on a lot of points here. First of all, business owners don't think they're, I'm not a marketing person, I'm not a salesperson or whatever, but they do have that underlying, as you said, why we're doing this, how we really help people the most, what we're really here trying to accomplish every single day. They know that in their heart. And if they can communicate that after listening to what's coming out of those sales and marketing people and going, okay, what do you think? And again, listening and asking more questions, like you said before, and helping them to understand. It's a huge thing. It's a huge thing, because they do know that the owners, the founder, these executives know why they're in this and what they're doing, and sharing it without telling is a great way to do that.
Yeah, because just by listening to it, they can start to fill in the gaps, and they'll know it's working when the other people in the room, their team members, are like, "Oh, I didn't know that," right? And the sort of the little light bulb goes
Yeah.
off over their head. Then you know that you made some progress. You still got to keep working at it, right? You still got to check because it's iteration after iteration. Marketing is one of those. You need some expertise in it, but fundamentally, you got to know which direction and who we want to talk to and what's important. And they got all of that inside them, and somehow we got to pull it out of them.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you said earlier that the not getting a salesperson and letting them go without really giving them the information. It's the same thing when you do that with marketing, or it's just the more you can let these people understand who we're helping, how we're really helping them, and then let them do their work in really positioning ourselves and then talking with those potential customers the best they can. They've got that other skill to do that.
Yeah, it's almost like we give them the context as the leader. We give them the like, well, this is the why, and this is how we've done it. But that why is often absent, right? If it hasn't been shared.
Yes.
And I see it a lot with companies who have core values, and the core values are great. They're meaningful. They're not just platitudes. People live them, and they talk about them, and they talk about them in meetings. It's like, well, if we do that, it's kind of against our core value over here. So really, should we do it, right? So they have good core values, but what they often miss is that the vision of the leader, the owner of the business, it isn't complete. They share their vision, they share their ideas, they share the context, but there's another step that needs to happen where each individual employee needs to understand what they can do at their level of function every day to fulfill that vision. Because the vision often sounds grandiose, and it's this big, warm, and it's sort of this gigantic vision. It's meant to help the community or the world or whatever the appropriate situation is. So they don't necessarily know how they can be as a shipping clerk or as a salesperson, right, or the social media director. What can they do every day to make sure that we stay on that path? Mm-hmm. And it really requires them to communicate and talk about that at each level, right? So that CEO should show up at the sales meeting every once in a while, should show up at the marketing meeting, should show up at the finance meeting, to make sure that everybody is getting it and understanding. Sit back, listen, talk last, make people feel comfortable, and just listen to make sure that what they've envisioned, what they think the vision is really understood. Don't make assumptions.
Yeah, that's that last piece, like you said, giving each person how they're contributing to the overall mission and achieving that vision is so important. Otherwise, they don't really feel it. They don't feel how it's a congruent piece, group of people working together and rowing the boat in the same direction.
Yeah, and then giving the customer what the customer really needs, and sometimes the littlest of things could save the day.
Yes,
if that person felt like they had the authority to do it. Mm-hmm. And I've told this story before, where I worked for a manufacturer, and we had an order that needed to go out, one of my customers, and the guy on the shipping dock literally held back one of the boxes that was being shipped out. So there were parts in the boxes. There were 5 boxes, and he only shipped 4. So he shipped them all out, and then he called me and said, "Hey, I didn't ship out the box. I'll go out tomorrow." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Why didn't you ship it all out? They need the stuff." Because yeah, it was the box was damaged, and there was a bunch of stuff in there broken. I needed to go through it and make sure it's right, because I don't want to ship out bad stuff. And I'm like, "Dude, thank you. That's awesome. Thanks for telling me." So I called the customer and said, "Hey, Gary made this decision not to ship it. You got enough stuff to get started. We'll pull it together. We'll have it ready tomorrow. I'll drive it out to the job site and deliver it to you." And they were like, "You did what? He made that decision?" And like, "Yeah, it just, like, if you got broken stuff, it would have been the whole thing, right?" And they, the next time they came into our office, they brought him a bunch of stuff, right? Like swag and hats and things, because they truly appreciated it. So, but that little thing, holding back a box, was how he could, live our vision of taking care of our customers, so that they weren't inconvenienced.
Yeah.
Right. Because we would tell people, "Hey, we do the same thing as all those big companies. So 98% of what we do is exactly the same. So let's talk about the 2%. Right. That was the 2%, is that we got people thinking on the job.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's a great example, because those little things, whether it's someone like that in the shipping department, where someone on the phone that recognized what a situation should call for and said, "Okay, this is what we'll do." And they feel the customer service person feels comfortable, and the person on the other end of the phone, like those people you talked about, might go, "Oh my goodness, I never thought that would be a solution that they were going to propose, and that is awesome."
The solution is great, but sometimes it's just like, "I understand why you're upset. I would be too."
Yes.
Right. If the customer service person says that, or a salesperson says that, like, all of a sudden the resistance drops.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at least they get me.
Yeah.
At least they understand and respect what's going on. So now we gotta figure it out, which is the next couple of steps. But it's just those little things. So the person answering the phone, the customer service person, if they have that license to say, "You're right, this is screwed up. I don't know how we did this, but I'm going to get to the bottom of it. And let's don't judge us on the fact we made a mistake. Judge us on how we handle the mistake."
Yeah.
And then you flip that.
Yep. And that's the thing, when you talked about the 2%, if your sales and marketing people are aware of the fact that we do 98% of what everybody else does, but our 2% is why you want to do business with us. I mean, it's a great thing to talk about with your salespeople and your marketing, and have them talking about with the world, because that's, and getting that message through down to the individual person, and then giving them, empowering them, like you said, with a shipping person like that, to make those kind of decisions. Yeah.
And if we don't tell them that, sometimes people are afraid to make a call.
Yeah.
Guys like you and me, we make calls all the time, and we're wrong a lot. That's okay. Right. We learn from it, and we're willing to do that. But some people, they're afraid they could lose their job or get yelled at or something, which is legitimate. So, like, tell them, you got ability to make a decision within these parameters. And if you got to go outside those parameters, ask, because we want to do the right thing. And, doing the right thing right now, with the way certain companies operate, it's not how it works. Yeah.
It's a big deal. If you can do it better than them and do the right thing, that makes a big difference. That's for sure. So
100%.
As you're out there talking to people, what are some of the things that you're really enjoying about working with people in sales today?
I love watching them elevate, right? And what I mean by that is, when you work with a salesperson over the course of a couple of weeks, when you're working on an idea, and you get them to believe in the idea, and you get them to, most importantly, believe in themselves, right? That and then they go try it.
Yeah.
And they've been in the field for a couple of days, and they're on their way home from freaking Iowa, right? And they got to drive for a couple hours, and then they call you up and say, "Hey, you know the thing that we talked about this week? Yeah, well, it worked." And I'm like, "Great. I wish you weren't so surprised, but tell me about it."
Yeah.
And they're all excited because the thing worked. Now they get a little bit closer to doing more things and taking more risk. So that's what I like. I like to get paid. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I really like. I can tell that guy or that gal who calls, and I'm like, you made my week, right there. That really makes my week because you did something that you didn't think you could do, and you did it. Well, you helped. Like, yeah, I might have helped, but you did it. You took the initiative. You took and tried something that you hadn't done before. And that to me is the fun part. It's and that works with salespeople and sales managers, right? Sales manager who learns how to create accountability that's positive, or learns how to coach their people, right? Rather than bury their head in a CRM or try to be the hero. It's just, that's the part, because sales is such a slight edge business, right? We can win or lose for the silliest of reasons, the most insignificant of reasons. A bad handshake, spilling the coffee at the table, right? Just looking, any of those things could cause us a deal. Asking the wrong question. So when I see them try something new and it works for them, that's a big joy.
Yeah, that's a huge thing. As you said, because sales is a slight edge, because you're usually, almost always, they've got other choices, and they're looking at something.
Yeah, if they don't have other choices, then you're working for the government or a big monopoly.
Yeah. It's a lot different there. So we've got a lot of. We're not going to talk about it much, but we got a lot of people that think AI is coming for salespeople, coming for SDRs, coming for this. What are your thoughts on it? Have you seen people try it? Have you seen, what's going on in your head when it comes to that?
AI is not going away.
Yeah.
Right. It's been around for a very long time. It just got a better publicist the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of money thrown behind it right now to make it better.
Yeah.
So, and it has made better. It has gotten better. If you remember, years ago, I forget the name of the principle, but every 3 years, computers got faster and cheaper. Right. Well, that's happening with AI in terms of its capacity and its speed and its intelligence. So I think that's happening like every 6 months. Major things are happening.
Yeah.
So is it going to take your job? I'm not worried. I have a client who is building an agent, a bot, and it sounds like a real person, right? It can be responding to questions, but I had a VA that was really worried that he was going to lose his job because of the AI, and we did a demo. Like, let's have the bot come in, make the phone call with one of the salespeople in the meeting, and let's see what it does. So we did that, and when the meeting was all over, I talked to the VA afterwards, because what he does is qualify leads. Somebody raises their hand, he calls them, qualifies them, and then flips it over to the salespeople, which is the exact situation you were explaining. So he listened to the bot operate. He's like, I got nothing to worry about, right? Because he just heard it, how easily it could be confused, how much it actually sounded like a robot, the delays, right? So if you're speaking to a certain type of buyer, where you just need a couple of questions for them to make a transaction, it might work. It might work okay. If you're got a complex sale and you're trying to figure out something from a skeptical buyer, it's going to be a bigger lift.
Yeah.
I think the way I've been looking at it lately, I use it as part of my one of my processes where it helps me. I give it a premise or give it something I wrote and like, hey, use this format to improve upon it, but you still got to read it. You still got to humanize it. You got to make it your voice. And I've got it understanding who my customer is. I got it understanding what my voice is like. And it does a good job of that, but it isn't perfect.
Yes.
It will, as they call it, hallucinate.
Yes.
On things. I wouldn't trust it for research. It does a good job of doing outlines. Something that takes 90 minutes, you could probably get it down to 30 with its help. It's a toolbox where you have to know how to use all of the tools in it. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned about it is our education system has taught us to memorize things. It's taught us to learn things in a certain way, but it didn't teach us to think critically. And it didn't teach us to teach. And that's what this requires.
Yes.
To us to write a prompt to tell it what we want it to do. And if we tell it to do something and we don't give it enough specificity or enough context, it goes over that way, right? When we wanted it to go this way. So I think it's great. It's exciting to watch, but I don't know. I'm not really worried about it taking my gig.
Yeah, I don't think I'm with you there. I think it is a great thought partner, like you said. It can help you, work through things a little bit, give you some different perspectives, and sometimes, I mean, for the kind of things I think we're talking about is, in a sales or marketing perspective, you could be sending it a marketing piece of content or whatever it is and say, hey, what do you think our ideal customer would think when they saw this? It could give you some good ideas. Maybe what changes would you think about? Or if you're talking about a salesperson talking about their conversations, what are some of the questions I could ask them in this situation? It might help with those kind of things. Just the ideation and going from zero, really giving me some ideas, give me some things I wouldn't think about. And
if all of those things it's good at, you still got to humanize it.
Oh yes.
I think there's one area in sales that there's some really good work being done. Is one of the best ways to practice in sales is role plays, right?
Yes.
I've been calling them scrimmages lately. So if you can do role plays that are low risk, right, and you get AI to help you with that. So there's bots that you give it a scenario and you tell it you're Bob from this company that has this issue, and then you have a salesperson deal with the bot, and you can start to analyze. You can start to count things. That stuff is really, really powerful. And there's lots of tools out there right now that, every time you go and do a search, there's a new tool that does it just a little bit better. So that's a great way to use AI to help you as a salesperson.
Yes.
To help you get better. And then just, some basic stuff with like taking transcribing notes from a meeting. Right. Yeah. You'll, being able to get the notes from a Zoom call or a phone call, and then having that where you can be laser focused on that buyer and really be paying attention and asking the right questions because you're not taking notes. You got your thing doing it for you.
Yes, that is a huge part. And I have noticed that in my own work is that with the note taker running in the background, you can focus in on the conversation, you really understand what's going on. And then it's a huge benefit too, if you're going to meet someone again, to go back and review a few days before to make sure, hey, everything's good on my end for this. What are we talking about the next time we're together? And wow, it's so powerful to help you with those things.
And where the AI can help that. So if you have if you have the meeting and you have like say 6 or 7 Zoom meetings in a day, like I do, you don't always have time in between of them to take the notes.
Yeah.
So if you could take the transcription of those notes, give them to a virtual assistant, right, and say, here, take the transcription and put the notes into this format for me so I have them, and then create an email with the to-do list, that we needed to do, what we agreed to do at the end of the meeting. Take the summary, right? That can save you a lot of time, improve your effectiveness, make you look more professional because you're doing follow-up emails that summarize things.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't cost a lot of money. It's part of a lot of our basic packages now.
Yeah.
So instead of fearing it, right, it's not going away. Horses weren't big on automotive, cars. The guy that made the wagon wheels wasn't real thrilled when, we stopped using wagons. We have to iterate. So I think we start to look at how we can, in sales, use the tool to help us get better, right? Instead of fearing it, dive into it and learn about it. And just don't be one of those yahoos that just repost what's written, because it's so embarrassing. Thanks.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, it's it is there are going to be some interesting tools developed in it, and no doubt it will get better over time. But it is really, really a great way to, get off the mark from zero, to help you refine some things, and a lot coming around. But I agree 100%. Don't think it's going to be eliminating a whole swath of jobs anytime soon. The last thing to go before we wind up here, you got something that you're launching here. You're going to talk about a little bit, the sales integrator. What we got going on there, Walter?
The premise might piss some people off, but the premise is basically for companies that are using the EOS system, the entrepreneurial operating system. Great system for a company to run their business, right? There's structure to it. You got your people, your scorecards, your vision, traction, ability to talk about meetings and have structure to it. It's a great system. But I think there's a flaw with sales teams that don't necessarily fit well into it. And what I mean by that is EOS is really internally focused. You create a VTO, which is your vision, right? You create your 3 uniques about, what makes you special. Guess what? You get your salespeople to go out and talk to people outside your company. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what your vision is. Nobody cares what, your 3 uniques are. It's all cute. It's great. It's going to help you help your people, help your customers, but it doesn't help the salespeople in a meaningful way. So the sales integrator is designed to do just that, to integrate the sales team into the EOS system so that the business owner knows what the sales team needs, what's missing, and it helps them use their current tools more effectively. I'll give you an example. One of the things that in the people part of EOS, they're looking at right people, right seats.
Yep.
And GWC, right? Get it, want it, have capacity for it. Well, when you look at it from the EOS perspective, and you look at a salesperson specifically, they're taking a guess. They're not really sure, right? Because salespeople, we're weird. We can sell you on us. We can deal with that, right? We can make you feel, that we understand what's going on, and we can buy ourselves 6 months. So what we're able to do is help that business owner look at some data, look at what's really going on to see if they're a fit. So we're holding a mirror up to that, and we're using what they have in the context that they're operating. We're not asking them to stop doing what they're doing. We're saying, here's some things that will make this better and integrate it in. And some of it is what we talked about, right? Getting the message right, because it's not about them, it's about your customer,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's not about persuading and selling and pitching. It's about the buyer's journey through your company, and is it effective? Scorecard, making sure that those are forward-looking, not laggers.
Yeah.
The ability to get some traction, right? So we have all of that figured out. I'll be launching an ebook that people can get that will outline the whole idea. They can read through it and like, oh, I can do that, and I can do that, and I can do that. Okay, you got the information, go do it, right? And then there's other sections they might need some help with it.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a whole turnkey process. We'll sit down and talk to a business owner about their priorities, and we'll help them see from an EOS perspective. If you do 1, 2, 3, it makes 4, 5, 6 easier, right? If you get these 2 things right, the rest of it flows easier, and that's unique to each business. Everybody's a little different, so the process is pretty streamlined and simple. It's not easy.
Yeah.
It's tough. You got to be able to say, we got to do something different, and that's usually the challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that sounds awesome. So when is this going to be rolled out?
The end of the month. It's just simply not ready yet, and I've been tweaking it, and I know good enough is good, but and I'm not looking for perfection.
Yeah.
But I'm looking to give somebody something that they can be like, oh, that makes sense, and I can do that part, right? Because a lot of entrepreneurs, especially the ones who run an EOS, they're smart. If they take an idea, they can run with it and solve some of these problems.
Yeah.
So I can get them if they mention your show, and they ping me on LinkedIn or ping me on any of the social media. I will send them the book for free.
Awesome.
But they got to mention you in the show.
All right. That'll be awesome.
And that they could have tomorrow.
What's that?
The book is ready. They could have that tomorrow.
Ah, very cool. Very cool. So, Walter, thank you so much for being here today. I just love being able to talk to you because you are out there helping so many salespeople, sales managers improve how they're doing it, improve, like you said, help them level up, improve their results, man. It's just, and your real world advice that you give every time we talk is so awesome. So awesome.
That's very kind. I appreciate it. It's fun.
Yeah. I'm not kidding. Every time we talk, I just like, it just exudes from you. You know what the heck you're doing, and you're helping a lot of people. So thank you for being here today. And if people want to reach out to you, what's the best way to get a hold of you, Walter?
LinkedIn. I'm the only Walter L. Crosby on LinkedIn. And my picture's there. I have a cigar in my picture, so you'll know it's me.
Yeah.
And my website, helixsalesdevelopment.com, is an easy way to connect.
All right. Again, today we have Walter Crosby, Helix Sales Development, talking about aligning your marketing and sales message for success, a lot of other stuff. Great advice. If you got into this late, you want to go back to the beginning and listen to Walter from the beginning, because he just gave us a sales masterclass in about 40 minutes. So thanks everyone for being here. Walter, hang out. We'll finish up offline. I want to say thanks, Trish, for dropping the comments. Thanks for being out there today. Thank you to all those people that were listening and didn't comment. We